Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, he is battle tested. He is a retired Navy SEAL, and now he's sharing his lessons in leadership with the business world. His journey just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I love people who have served in the military and then go out and share some of those lessons in leadership with the business world, because think about the discipline it takes to even be in the military. Now, times 10 that, because I'm talking to a retired Navy SEAL. Hake is in studio. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
First of all, thank you for your service. Tell us more about your background. How many years with the Navy?
I did 22 years in the Navy, 20 of those with the SEAL teams. I originally came into the Navy and there was not a waiver for laser surgery for your eyes, and so I went to the regular Navy as a cryptologist for about 2 years, and then went over to the selection program, which is called BUDS, screened for SEALs, passed, and then went on and had a good career within Naval Special Warfare.
So I can't even imagine the journey you've been on, but then moving away from the military to civilian life, it must feel slow. Does it feel slow to you?
Not for me, not for me. It took a minute to get to that space mentally. I did some mental gymnastics when I was considering leaving the teams, but once I got out of the teams, I started my own consulting company, and then was later picked up by a client at the time within the startup world and pharmaceuticals, was asked to come on full time, helped grow and bring that company through its to go public, and then was eventually acquired by Pfizer, and now I'm starting up my consulting company again. So it's been pretty fast-paced. And along the way, I got my master's degree at USC.
That is so cool.
I haven't stopped. It's a downhill sprint, if you will.
As I said at the beginning of the broadcast, the discipline, the punctuality, I mean, all those things you learned in the military really apply well as a consultant.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've distilled the lessons learned through a 22-year career in the military and the teams, and have brought them into now the startup world to help startups grow.
Yes. Okay, we're going to show a clip here in a second, but I want you to kind of set it up, because it shows you out in...
I'm curious about this clip, quite frankly, Jeff.
But tell us about the organization.
Now a little apprehensive here, because I've done some more comical clips within that organization that we discussed. So I'm curious to see. I think it's me out in the California desert talking about some marksmanship training for Tactical Hive, which is a great organization, and a shout out to them and Miles, the CEO, founder, and owner of that organization.
Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and roll the clip. You look like Rambo. I'm
just a big teddy bear.
Okay, tell us more about that organization.
Tactical Hive, and I forget Miles' last name, but basically he had his own marketing company, was successful in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts realm, and wanted to get engaged with a tactical shooting perspective. And he came out to California, engaged with myself, some other SEALs, some Rangers, some Green Berets, a couple Marines, and was basically, hey, show me the ropes. And when I first got out of the teams, this was one of the endeavors I was engaged in. And he's just a great guy. And the Tactical Hive is still around. They offer courses of instruction for people that are interested in tactical shooting presented by subject matter experts that have literally used those skills in a combat situation. So it's just a great person, great organization, and a great wealth of knowledge from a gun culture perspective. I like to think that it normalizes gun culture, which is a contentious subject in our society today, but this is an opportunity to engage with some really, really great people in a professional and controlled setting on that topic.
Sure. Well, let's talk about your leadership coaching, because I have to imagine that one thing you're helping companies with is have a plan. When you guys were out executing missions, I mean, there was a plan, there was probably a backup plan, and a backup plan to the backup plan.
Yeah, I mean, there's the famous saying that a plan is a list of things that don't happen, right? And that doesn't preclude you, at least within a special operations perspective, from having a plan, because it's having a plan, or a North Star, as I like to say to the organizations that I engage with as a consultant, is you need a North Star, and you need something to guide off of, because otherwise you're just a boat adrift in the ocean and you don't know where you're going. And even though within life it's dynamic, even in the business world, and combat is obviously incredibly dynamic, you having that guide to use as a touchstone. So you've deviated from the plan, you've deviated from the North Star, use it as a guiding element and just come back to it, touch that point, and then continue to move forward until there's another element that shifts you off course. But that's what I talk about.
And I think we all learned that lesson during COVID, because you all had to adapt. If you were a business that didn't deliver or have carry out in the restaurant industry, you were done.
Absolutely. And within COVID, the organization that I was a part of, which was Biohaven Pharmaceuticals, they shifted very quickly to a virtual environment, which for me was not strange, because I did most of my military career, 20 years approximately, in naval special warfare as a SEAL. And on my first deployment to Iraq, we were using video to engage and coordinate from a decentralized perspective, because we were scattered all over Iraq. And that's how we conducted meetings, that's how we coordinated missions. And so when from a COVID perspective, we were able to pivot very quickly, and it was, oh yeah, we'll just do things virtually. And I'd been doing that since 2002, essentially, within naval special warfare. And special operations as a whole has used that tool to communicate since that time, as far as I know, from a broad perspective. So it wasn't much of a pivot for us as an organization, or for me as an individual.
Sure. And if you go to YouTube and just put in Greg's name, you're going to find a bunch of videos. He's been on a lot of podcasts. And I'm particularly fond of some of your video tips. Let's go ahead and roll one now.
Be a problem solver. There's nothing more frustrating than being a leader in a situation where people come in and have a problem for every solution. Set the tone and be the example, and look at the problem set that you're faced with and try and find a solution. You should constantly be trying to present the solution, as opposed to identifying the faults and or issues that you, your team, or your organization might be facing. There are no shortage of people out there that are problem finders. Be the problems.
Wow, I love that. Let's talk a little bit about the mindset. I mean, obviously, as a Navy SEAL, you guys had to be physically fit, but so much of the game of running a company or leading a mission is your mindset.
Absolutely. And SEALs are very fit, and the selection process is meant to push you beyond the limits of what you think are physical. And at a certain point within selection, it just becomes a mental game. You're literally just putting one foot in front of the other, and transferring that knowledge into the private sector is something that I specialize in. And I think any SEAL could be value added to an organization out there.
Absolutely. And I love it that you can go into industries like the pharmaceutical industry and have a fresh pair of eyes, because sometimes if you hire a consultant who just came up through pharmaceuticals, they do things the way they've always done.
Absolutely. It's more orthodox, right? It's, well, this is how I did it at company X, and therefore I bring those lessons learned into this organization. Clearly, I don't have a science background. I have a military background. And within that military experience is a lot of expertise and experience within the human capital domain, which is where I really bring my value. And other SEALs would bring value as well into organizations.
Okay, in the little time we have left, Greg, how does somebody watching this know if they need to bring you in?
I'm brought in for currently late seed or Series A startups that have a technically proficient founder, probably surrounded by 20 to 30 close colleagues or friends, and have had the ability to make all the decisions or be involved in all of the decisions for their organization. But now they either want to go public, they want to scale to the point of acquisition, or they just want to bring their product to a broader market. They're not going to be able to do that. So I come in and help them build a good culture through leadership principles, allowing them to execute on a decentralized leadership program. And it promotes them to bring their product to market, and in a high growth and a high return setting.
Outstanding. You've been an amazing guest. We're going to have you back again soon.
I would love to.
We're going to end with your LinkedIn page so you can get a hold of him there. The great Greg Hake. Thanks for coming on the show.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.